After another argument with my fiance Ethan, I simply checked into a king-size room at a hotel. Unfortunately, the soundproofing was terrible, and I kept hearing panting and crying from the room next door. Just as I was about to put in my earplugs, a woman's voice, trembling slightly, broke through. "Ethan, we didn't use protection this time. What if I get pregnant? We're already engaged anyway. If you're pregnant, we'll just get married." I froze. It wasn't just a coincidence in names, it was actually him. Later, that girl and I both married Ethan. At the wedding, my eyes welled up. "So, do you have two fiancés? Or are there two Ethans?" This was the first time I'd ended up staying out all night after an argument with Ethan. I had discovered he bound an in-game romantic partner, level 20, with over 30,000 intimacy points. He merely brushed it off, saying, "I didn't even know about that partner designation. My friend must have done it while playing on my account." He usually gave in after every argument, but this time, he just watched me slam the door and leave. As I lay on the hotel bed, crying myself almost senseless, a man and a woman arrived next door. Immediately after, a continuous string of panting and the woman's trembling sobs filled the air. "It's all your fault. Why were you in such a hurry? I didn't even have time to buy it." The woman's voice still held a slight tremor. "Ethan, we didn't use protection this time. What if I get pregnant?" My hand, reaching to put in my earplugs, froze mid-air. "Ethan? My fiancé is also named Ethan." Though I didn't believe it was him, I still pressed my ear faintly against the wall. "What's there to be afraid of? Aren't we engaged? If you're pregnant, we'll get married." The man's voice was slightly different, but after 7 years together, I recognized it instantly. It was Ethan, my fiancé of 1 year. My fingertips trembled uncontrollably, and I instinctively picked up my phone and made a video call. The phone in tone from next door rang out, but it sounded like he'd changed it. Usually, no matter how fiercely we argued, he would answer my calls immediately, which indirectly fostered my habit of leaving home whenever I got angry. But this time, the ringtone kept going off, repeatedly. He didn't hang up, but he didn't answer either. That wasn't like him. My emotions began to crumble. Unwilling to give up, I staggered to the door next door. Just as my hand reached for the doorbell, Ethan's voice rang out again. "Chloe, let's get married. In a week." The girl seemed moved to tears, her voice choked. "Okay." My mind went utterly blank. It felt as if, in that moment, I wasn't the legitimate partner who could walk right in, but the mistress. The hand resting on the doorbell trembled involuntarily, and the doorbell rang. Hearing footsteps inside, my heart unexpectedly clenched, and my legs instinctively hurried to escape. My phone screen lit up. Ethan was calling, but I didn't answer. Messages started flooding in. "Sophia, I've calmed myself down and now I'm ready to calm you down. Where are you? I'll pick you up. I'm sorry, I'll never brush you off again, and I'll never lend my account to anyone again." Usually, he was very understanding of me. Even if it turned out to be my fault, he would first calm himself down before trying to calm me down. But I, who had never paid attention to these details, now found it sent shivers down my spine. Every time we argued, he would first ask where I was, then half an hour later, he'd come to calm me down, claiming he needed to calm himself first. He would also always work overtime on important holidays, and every month he would have his predictable periods of irritability. The sounds of departure came from next door, and my phone ringtone also started ringing non-stop. I knew if I still didn't reply, he would call all my family and friends. And their first reaction would be to assume I was being unreasonable again. After all, in everyone's eyes, Ethan was an honest, dependable, and ambitious person, suitable for marriage. I forced myself to calm down and texted him back, "I'm back in my hometown. I'll be back tomorrow." He replied instantly, "Then I'll pick you up at home tomorrow." I didn't reply again, and with unspoken understanding, he didn't say another word. Just then, a new friend notification popped up in my contacts list. I clicked on the profile picture. It was a vibrant and youthful girl. A woman's intuition told me this was likely Ethan's other girl, and I didn't hesitate for a second to add her as a friend. "Hello, I'm Ethan's fiancée, Chloe. I saw you called him a lot just now, so I just secretly wanted to ask. He told me you were a colleague and that he doesn't like answering work-related calls when he's off. I'm a bit curious, are you colleagues?" I, who had been crying, suddenly burst out laughing when I saw the word colleague. So that's how he introduced me. But then, Chloe's question instantly sparked another thought. Could she also be unaware that Ethan actually had another fiance? I tentatively replied, yes, a colleague. There was an urgent work matter. He has a fiance? Chloe quickly dispelled her doubts. Yes, we were introduced by relatives through a blind date, and we got engaged the day after we met. We've been together for a year now. I couldn't control my emotions. They had been engaged for a year, and so had Ethan and I. For a moment, I even wondered if I had been hallucinating. Changing my mind on the spur of the moment, I returned to my hometown. The next day, Ethan arrived at my house before dawn. The sound of his voice chatting with Eleanor and Richard instantly overlapped with the voice I'd heard last night. I was once again certain that what happened yesterday was very real and true, and yet I had actually doubted myself. From our college days to our wedding, from 19 to 26, how could I not recognize his voice? Ethan, you and Sophia have been engaged for a year now. When are you getting married? Eleanor and Richard, as usual, started pressuring me to get married. Ethan still smiled. Whenever wants to get married, we will. Sure enough, Eleanor and Richard glared at me. You're not getting any younger, and Ethan is such a good person. My nose stung instantly, but I looked up, my expression normal again. Ethan, let's get married. In a week. His smile instantly froze, then he seemed very excited and lifted me high into the air. I stared deeply into his excited and ecstatic eyes, but couldn't detect a hint of falsehood. Ethan also seemed overcome with excitement, continuously muttering beside me, this is the bridal shop I picked out earlier, it'll definitely suit you. This is the reception dress I started sewing by hand for you right after you graduated, it's sure to fit. This is all the money I've saved from working all these years. I'll transfer it all to you when I formally come to present the formal commitment document. He was still so thoughtful towards me. But, getting married at the same time, could he manage to be in two places at once? Or had he hidden himself too deeply? At the same time, I also saw Chloe's engagement photos with him from a year ago on social media. His face in those photos was just as excited as it was now. My fingertips trembled slightly. After calming myself, I clicked into his individual social media feed. The engagement date displayed there was actually the same day as mine. Yet, on our engagement day, he was with me the entire time. After 7 years together and 3 years of living under the same roof, I realized I didn't seem to know Ethan at all. Back home, he was doing the same things as always. Cooking, doing laundry, cleaning the house, then getting into bed to give me a shoulder massage. Sophia, you're finally willing to marry me. His words were full of happiness, but my heart wasn't in it. I recalled every detail of our time together, but I racked my brain and couldn't figure out where things had gone wrong. The breathing beside me gradually steadied. Though I never checked his phone, I inexplicably scanned his face with his phone. It didn't work the first time. I thought the lighting was poor, so I tried a few more times, and it unlocked successfully. I scrolled through all his social media apps, checked his hotel booking records. Aside from the photo album full of pictures of just him and me, there was absolutely nothing suspicious. I quietly saved the photos to my phone, deleted the records, and put Ethan's phone back where it was. The next day, I vaguely felt a kiss on my forehead. It was Ethan's daily habit. Sophia, I'm going to the office today to ask my boss for wedding leave. You get some good rest. My mind instantly cleared. Wedding leave. Saying we'd get married in a week was just to test him. Yet, from yesterday until now, there hadn't been a single sign of hesitation or excuse from him. I sent Chloe a Venmo payment. Congratulations. Happy wedding. If you don't mind, may I join in to share in the good fortune? She replied quickly, of course, no problem. 5 days from now, see you there. Including today, the wedding day was indeed in a week. I asked again, what time? I wouldn't want to be late. According to customs, the wedding ceremony should be at 10 a.m. and the wedding banquet at 12 p.m. Exactly what Ethan told me yesterday. I was dazed all day, still unable to understand what had gone wrong. Not until evening did Ethan return home. Usually, the first thing he did when he came home was give me a hug, but this time, he ignored me. Noticing me staring at him, Ethan seemed to remember something and hugged me tightly with an apologetic expression. Sorry, Sophia, it might be one of my predictable periods of irritability again. I'm having trouble controlling my mood. My mind had a sudden flash of insight. The loophole was here. I pretended not to care, sat on the sofa watching TV, it's fine, it's fine. I have my period too sometimes. Ethan visibly relaxed, then continued as usual. Seeing him cook in the kitchen, I took a deep breath and pulled out my tablet. Opening my cloud storage, I scrolled through my chat history all the way back 7 years. This time, I seemed to have confirmed something. At the dinner table, Ethan ate quietly, not saying a word, which was typical during his predictable periods of irritability. And by night, his hands were particularly restless. I have my period. Hearing this, he didn't hold me as usual. Instead, he rolled deeply onto his side. Meanwhile, the thoughts in my mind gradually became clearer. For I arranged to meet Chloe. She seemed surprised but still came. I got straight to the point. Actually, I'm not Ethan's colleague. I'm his fiance. Chloe couldn't hide her emotions at all, and her face instantly turned ashen. Impossible. I laid out everything from the past 7 years before her. Though she resisted, she instinctively picked up everything in front of her. He clearly told me he was single, and that I was his first love. Chloe's makeup was streaked from crying. Am I in some kind of novel, where the original partner shows up to tell me I'm actually the mistress? But we're about to get married. At that moment, her gaze at me held a hint of hostility. I said calmly, "You're not the mistress. And the person we're both involved with is indeed Ethan. As for whether he has 2 fiancés or if there are 2 Ethans, we'll find out on the wedding day." Before, I wouldn't have believed it either. Chloe was clearly puzzled. If there are 2 Ethans? How could 2 people look exactly alike? Even identical twins aren't completely identical, and I've been to his house, he's definitely an only child. Her words, however, reminded me. I found the photos I took when I went to his house. Chloe's face turned even paler upon comparison. I had been to his house too, even the neighbors said he was an only child. Yet, the 2 photos were identical, even the family photo behind him. Whether it's true or not, we'll know in a few days. I leaned down and whispered a few words into Chloe's ear, then returned home. Ethan's predictable periods of irritability had passed, and he was back to his usual self. "Ethan, marriage is a huge deal. I don't want there to be any regrets at my wedding. Can I choose the wedding venue this time?" He agreed instantly, pulling me into his arms, then naturally pulled out his phone. "Just pick whatever you like, I'll pay." The hairs on my arms instantly stood on end. Then, I pretended to be mysterious and playfully teased him as usual. "I want to personally decorate the wedding venue this time, to give you a surprise. Can I decide everything myself, please?" Ethan's gaze turned complex. He usually agreed to anything when I acted spoiled, but now his eyes held an unclear meaning. My heart pounded, and I instinctively thought of Chloe. Had she revealed something? The next second, I decisively dismissed the thought. No, she wouldn't. I feigned annoyance. "Fine, if you don't agree. Let it be ugly then, it's your wedding anyway." Ethan's gaze softened. As you wish, as you wish." Soon, the wedding day arrived. Ethan immediately saw me in my wedding dress. He seemed utterly captivated. The officiant's voice boomed, "Mr. Ethan, whether in poverty or in wealth, in sickness or in health, do you take Ms. Sophia as your wife?" The officiant's voice, amplified by the microphone, sounded exceptionally loud at this moment, directly overlapping with what the officiant next door was saying. Instantly, this overlapping sound echoed back and forth throughout the banquet hall. Ethan's face began to show discomfort, and the hand holding mine tightened involuntarily. Guests throughout the banquet hall began to murmur amongst themselves, and even the officiant repeatedly checked the groom's name on his script. I pulled my wrist free from his grasp. "So, Ethan, do you have 2 fiancés? Yes? Or are there 2 Ethans?" Ethan instinctively tried to explain to me, but at that moment, the doors to both banquet halls opened. "What the, how are there 2 Ethans?" Chloe and I exchanged a glance, then instinctively stood together. The expressions on the faces of both Ethans were as dark as thunderclouds, making them look even more alike. 7 years. Was my partner real or fake? I clutched my skirt hem tightly. "So, after 7 years, now that it's all been revealed, you still won't tell me, will you? Or rather, have I actually been dating 2 Ethans these past 7 years?" Chloe was trembling all over from crying. "Sophia, I can't believe there really are 2 Ethans. Whose baby am I carrying, then? This is my first time dating, my first time getting married. Was I just being played?" I didn't answer, because I felt the same way. As for a child, I only knew that Ethan, who I'd been with for 7 years, was a dink. That's why I had never gotten pregnant all these years. The standoff lasted a very long time. Eventually, the officiant suggested that each Ethan go with one of us, one with me, one with Chloe, to discuss whether the wedding should still proceed as planned. The emotions I had suppressed for so long finally erupted. I pounded on him. Ethan? 7 years. You've been lying to me for 7 years. What other secrets are you hiding? You're willing to give your life for me, but not tell me this? No matter what I said or how much I cried, he remained unmoved. I wiped away my tears, then looked at him with a smile. If that's how it is, then we might as well not get married. And by the way, let's break up. He raised his lowered head again, his eyes bloodshot, yet he said nothing. Chloe, when she emerged, was clearly in the same state as me. The wedding was cancelled, and everyone went home with questions, but no one knew the truth. Sophia, I broke up with him. I don't want to live in constant suspicion and doubt, waking up every day wondering who the person beside me truly is. As for the baby, I'm going to get an abortion. I think, no matter whose it is, it shouldn't be brought into this world. That's right. Who would want to live in constant suspicion every day? 7 years, it was time for it to end. Back home, one of the Ethans, I didn't know which, sat unmoving, staring at me with swollen eyes. Seeing the scars on his arm from injuries he'd sustained for me, I had a rough idea. But I ignored him, busy packing up everything I had accumulated over the years. There wasn't much. I didn't plan to take many of our shared memories with me. As I walked to the door with my suitcase, Ethan blocked my way. Sophia, please don't leave. I stared into his eyes. So, who exactly are you? His eyes sank. He looked distraught, holding me tightly, desperate not to let me go. Does the name Ethan really matter? Is it more important than our 7 years together? I laughed, infuriated. 7 years of feelings couldn't outweigh the name Ethan? He was the one who made that decision first. If I wasn't his first choice, why should he be mine? The sound of a car arrived at the door, and the other Ethan appeared. The grip on my arm noticeably loosened. I took the chance to shake him off. Who it is, it doesn't matter anymore. I don't want to know anymore. This 7-year emotional deception needs to end. I left without looking back, got into a taxi, and only caught a glimpse of the anger on both their faces in my peripheral vision. How strange, they were the ones who had deceived us, so what were they angry about? 6. Just as I finished washing up, my phone rang. The call was from someone at the police station. Hello, may I speak with Sophia? Your husband, Ethan, was arrested for disorderly conduct while intoxicated and needs someone to bail him out. I paused. Ethan doesn't drink, does he? Was it the other one who drank? I shook my head, a little speechless with myself. Hello, he's not my husband. I'm so RRY. I hung up, feeling annoyed. I had been deceived for 7 years. What was I even agonizing over? The dust had settled. I would no longer have any relationship or interaction with him. A few days later, Chloe asked to meet me. She looked a bit nervous, glancing around. Sophia, Ethan calls me every day. I'm literally going crazy. I came today to thank you for letting me know I was being deceived. I'm going to leave this place. I wasn't surprised. Blind dates, engagement, marriage, deception, pregnancy, it was all public knowledge. I replied calmly, I'm leaving too. The figure standing downstairs every night, the constant knocking at my door every day, my phone ringing off the hook with calls from friends. I wanted to say goodbye to the past. Eleanor and Richard looked hesitant. Sophia, Ethan came to see us. He was begging on his knees. He promised us he'd never done anything to wrong you, and that keeping this a secret was out of helplessness. Could you please? I cut Eleanor and Richard off. If 2 people can't even be honest, they'll break up anyway, especially when there's a crack. Besides, if someone can maintain a lie for 7 years, who's to say what they're saying now is true? Eleanor and Richard said nothing more. Although they had pressured me into marriage, they wouldn't push me into a living hell. At my firm request, they agreed to move to another city. As I was packing, the front door was knocked on again. We all knew who it was. Eleanor and Richard glanced at me, then lowered their heads to continue packing their clothes, ignoring it. The neighbors were getting impatient. Late at night, you 2 cousins are disturbing the peace. Are you kidding me? Anyone would think robbers were breaking in. You used to be known as honest people, but now I think you're just thugs. You lied to that girl for 7 years. Serves you right. And you still have the nerve to show up here. Ethan, who usually cared most about his reputation and got alone well with neighbors, this time acted as if he had gone crazy, throwing caution to the wind. To avoid causing any more trouble for the neighbors before I left, I opened the door. Ethan's eyes were bloodshot. Sophia, I'm begging you, please don't go. Even if I'm no longer your boyfriend, I can still do anything for you, as long as you don't leave. Looking at him, full of deep affection, my entire body tensed. How did he know I was leaving? Was it him I felt following me every day when I left the house? I didn't say anything, but when he saw the packed items in the house, he gripped my wrist tightly, terrified I would leave. I'll call him right away. Whatever the consequences, I'll explain everything to you clearly. To confess to me now was too late. But seeing his current state, and with Eleanor and Richard present, I had to consider our safety. Soon, 2 identical men stood before us. The other one looked exactly like Ethan did during his predictable periods of irritability. I'm Ethan's twin brother, Liam. None of us responded. Ethan was the one who spoke first. This isn't something to be proud of, which is why I've kept it a secret from everyone. As you know, Eleanor and Richard divorced when I was young, so how could they afford to raise 2 university students? We've intentionally mimicked each other's habits since childhood, also we could both receive an education simultaneously and avoid living like Eleanor and Richard in the future. I knew his parents were divorced, but I had never heard about them being unable to afford raising children. Eleanor and Richard felt a pang of sympathy. Ethan, your family's financial situation isn't the main issue. The point is, you and Sophia have been together for 7 years. You had so many opportunities to be honest with her, but you never said a word. Do you think our Sophia would be that materialistic? Eleanor and Richard didn't know if his words were true or false, but did I not know? Even I. If what he said was true, in the 3 years we lived together, did Liam, who sometimes slept beside me, not know? And it wasn't as if I didn't know he'd told everyone else they were cousins who'd had minor plastic surgery, while giving me a different story. The thought sent an extreme wave of nausea through me, and I rushed to the bathroom to vomit. I didn't miss Ethan's suspicious glance at Liam. I knew he was suspicious of Liam. His gaze made me feel even more disgusted. Thankfully, I had just been to the hospital yesterday and was not pregnant. 7 years of a relationship on the verge of marriage ultimately couldn't compare to the bond with a brother they depended on for survival. Ethan gently patted my back from behind, sounding concerned. Sophia, let me take you to the hospital to get checked out. I subtly pushed him away. No, I need some quiet. Eleanor and Richard saw my distraught state and politely asked the 2 of them to leave. I quickly said, since everything has been explained, I'll contact you later. I just really need to process this. Please don't follow me anymore. Ethan's eyes flickered. He knew what I was talking about. After I closed the door, I heard their footsteps retreating. Outside the window, the 2 of them started arguing again. Bro, are you really going to expose me for that woman? What if she leaks our secret? We share 1 degree, 1 certificate, and 1 ID. If that gets out, it's illegal. Ethan punched him hard. You know she's different. 7 years. You know what kind of person she is. You better explain yourself clearly. You pulled a stunt like that, impersonating me when you went back, but did you actually sleep together? His angry gaze seemed genuine. Liam grumbled, I wanted to, but I didn't succeed. You check every time. My hand clenched involuntarily. He knew everything. Seeing his brother's bruised and battered face, Ethan finally couldn't bear it. Don't worry, she won't say anything. She's just mad I lied to her. Her love for me won't change. Now that everything's explained, she'll be calmed down soon. I'm not stupid. Our current jobs are quite advantageous, why would I ruin myself? I quietly closed the window and finished packing the last of my luggage. Eleanor and Richard and I took a coach bus to Aunt's house that very night. The supposedly honest ones were, in fact, the most terrifying. He loved me, but he loved himself more. Watching Sarah and Eleanor embrace with tears in their eyes, my own tears fell involuntarily. Due to the distance, the 2 sisters hadn't seen each other in a long time. The genuine affection and longing for each other at the dinner table, that was the real life I wanted to live. Sophia, Eleanor will sleep with me tonight. I've already decorated the house for you after the neighbors moved out. Aunt squeezed my hand, her face full of kindness. It's all decorated according to your preferences. Settle in and make yourselves at home. Lying in bed, I felt my heart hadn't been so at peace in a long time. Since Sarah lived next door, Eleanor, Richard and I quickly settled in, and we all seemed happier than usual. I got myself ready. Today, I had a job interview. As soon as I got downstairs, Eleanor and Aunt smiled mysteriously. Sophia, there are plenty of jobs, but today you absolutely have to come out and have fun with us. Seeing their high spirits, I nodded. The scenery during our outing was indeed beautiful, but my phone kept ringing frantically, which was particularly annoying. I simply blocked Ethan. Messages started flooding in. Sophia, you moved? Are you serious? I've already explained everything to you, why won't you forgive me? Do you really look down on our family, on me? Knowing his personality, I knew that if I replied once, he'd badger me with 10 more sentences, so I simply blocked all his contact methods. He was the one who always looked down on himself. They'd been independent for so many years, didn't they? Know they could update their information and live as two separate people? It just meant that in their eyes, everything one person owned could be enjoyed by two. When it was time for dinner, a gentle-looking young man approached Aunt. This is Leo, a child we've watched grow up since he was little. He's such a good kid. Why don't you two get acquainted? Leo's face flushed, and the smile on Eleanor's face told me this dinner was no ordinary get-together. I motioned for Eleanor to come to the restroom. Mom, didn't I say I want my marriage to happen naturally, and I don't want any blind dates? You're already 26. Your Sarah said she knew someone suitable, so just give it a try. Are you still hung up on Ethan? I heard what he said that night. We don't acknowledge him as our son-in-law anymore. I was speechless. I know you want me to take advantage of my youth to pick someone good, but you can't force these things. As for Ethan, I've completely cut ties with him since the day of the wedding. Eleanor listened, but still wanted me to give it a try. Hello, Sophia. Though spoke little, he meticulously served me food and even thoughtfully handed me the hair tie from his wrist. That wasn't something a shy young man would usually do. But I didn't dwell on it. Since I was relaxing, I should truly relax. After all, I was about to focus on my career. My phone started ringing with a string of calls again. It was annoying, even during dinner. This time, it was a mutual friend of Ethan's and mine. Sure enough, Ethan had once again successfully established his image in front of them. No wonder, even after spending 7 full years together, I hadn't seen through him. 9 Sophia, Ethan really has a serious attitude this time, and he assured us repeatedly that he won't lie to you anymore. He swore a solemn oath in front of all of us that if he ever hides anything from you again, he will lose everything he has now and die alone and abandoned far from home. I listened quietly, but felt no ripple of emotion. He's always used tricks like that. The voice on the other end spoke again. This time it was Ethan. Sophia, just forgive me this one last time. His voice held a hint of fear, as if he was truly afraid of losing me. I hung up the phone, and a string of messages followed. Sophia, after you left, I truly realized I can't live without you. My life belongs to you. Whatever you want to know, I'll tell you everything, okay? If you don't like seeing 2 identical faces, I can get plastic surgery, or I can make Liam get plastic surgery, as long as you're happy. I thought Liam was more important than me. I didn't expect him to be willing to make Liam get plastic surgery. As long as you're willing, I'll never let you see him again. I refuse to take the blame. These things have nothing to do with me. Stop texting me. Whether they got plastic surgery or left, it wasn't my concern. Ethan panicked and frantically sent over 99 messages. The last one read, if you're still not satisfied, I can lose everything I gained by hiding everything, all for you. Whether it's my job, my education, or even my life. He was being utterly unreasonable. He still didn't understand what I truly cared about. But it didn't matter at all. The deception had happened, and our feelings were already a thing of the past. I decisively changed my SIM card and also got a job I loved. Eleanor and Aunt saw me full of energy for work every day and thought it was the magic of love. See? I told you love can make you feel young again. I smiled and didn't argue. If it made them happy, then it didn't matter. Every day, the interviews, interviewees, and topics were different. This time, it was about a worker who made headlines for collapsing from overwork during overtime. Sophia, familiarize yourself with all aspects of this news. Tomorrow, go to the hospital and interview the person involved. I opened my phone, and a familiar face jumped out at me, Ethan. In the image. His face was pale, his body was twitching, and he looked much thinner. The manager had repeatedly emphasized that if I could get the news into the top 3 trending topics this time, I would get a promotion. Any thought of canceling instantly vanished. What was there to be afraid of? I hadn't done anything wrong. The next day, Ethan lay pale in his hospital bed, eating plain porridge. I knocked on the door. The moment he saw me, his spoon clattered to the floor. "Sophia, you still care about me, don't you? So, you only come when I'm sick." I should have gotten sick sooner. I tidied my camera and clipboard, then explained to him in a businesslike manner, "I think you've misunderstood. I'm just here to interview you." His lips trembled slightly. "Interview?" I nodded. "If you're ready, we can start now." Ethan seemed to remember something and laboriously reached for his briefcase beside the hospital bed. "Sophia, this contains everything about Liam and my identity swaps. I stayed up all night for a week to organize it. And these photos of Liam's plastic surgery are absolutely real. I personally went with him. From now on, there will only be one Ethan." I paused for a moment. He was still fixated on the past. His mental state seemed off. I put away my camera, ready to leave. Ethan's angry shout rang out behind me. His chin trembled slightly, and tears clung to his eyelashes. "Sophia, what do I have to do for you to forgive me? Do I have to lose everything for you to be by my side again, like before?" I didn't want to get involved with him anymore, even though I noticed he stumbled and fell to the ground trying to grab me. I called a nurse before leaving. I didn't think he'd suffer any ill effects. The moment I left the hospital, a young man came rushing towards me. His presence was uncannily similar to Ethan's. It seemed he was Liam. It was late by the time I got home. Leo was at my place, making dumplings with Eleanor. I called out to him, and he happily walked towards me. "I'm 26, and you're 23. We're not a good match." He retorted, "Age is just a number in love. What makes us not a good match?" I had hoped to let him save face and give up on his own, but I didn't expect him to actually be interested in me. I got straight to the point. "Does your girlfriend from school know you're on a blind date? Does she know you're two-timing?" His face flushed bright red, and his fingers involuntarily fidgeted. "You know?" I calmly nodded. "I held back before to give you time to think things through, but you've been coming around too often lately, and it's truly become a problem for me. Moreover, you still have time to correct your mistakes. Didn't you think of her? Don't do things you'll regret later. I can offer good advice, but my patience isn't endless." Eleanor, seeing our conversation taking a bad turn, called us for dinner at just the right moment. I smiled and entered, while Leo, stunned for a moment, headed back to his own home. Eleanor grew anxious and began nagging again. "Leo is such a good kid, what did you do?" I kept a smile on my face. "Eleanor, he has a girlfriend." Eleanor's face clearly registered surprise. "Don't tell Aunt about this, let's just let it go." I didn't oppose Eleanor pressuring me to get married, I knew she just wanted me to be happy. But staying by their side is when I'm happiest. The next day, I mentally prepared myself to explain things to my manager, only to find her beaming. "Sophia, I knew I hadn't misjudged you. It's the top trending topic." I thought it would just be a personal one, but it indirectly revealed something even more incredible. Confused, the manager opened her computer. On the trending topic, Ethan, though looking distressed, calmly narrated something he had hidden for 7 years. "Hello everyone, I'm Ethan, the employee who collapsed. The company is good and does not mistreat its employees. It's just that I, personally, was busy with my own affairs outside of work, specifically, something illegal concerning my resume. All my academic degrees, family background, and financial status were established jointly by my brother, whose birth was never officially registered, and me. This allowed us to share all the achievements, and even experience different lives in various regions under the same identity. I thought I could keep it hidden forever, but it caused me to live in constant regret. Finally, I hope she finds happiness." I was a little taken aback. He actually disclosed his secret voluntarily. The manager sighed regretfully. "A master's degree from a top-tier university, too. It truly shows the thin line between brilliance and folly. If only he had come to his senses sooner, he wouldn't be locked up. It's a pity." I didn't say a word. Although I hadn't expected this outcome, it was his own choice. Eleanor and Richard, who had heard the news from somewhere, told me, "Sophia, from now on, your marriage is your own decision. We trust you. We won't pressure you anymore." I linked my arms with theirs. Richard, Eleanor, neither Ethan nor Leo's actions were because of you. There's no need to blame yourselves. Moreover, how can you truly know what's in a person's heart just by looking at the surface? My carefree expression made Eleanor and Richard feel a little more at ease. The life I have now is exactly what I want. My parents are healthy, my career is stable, I'm content with that. As for love, that's something that happens when it's meant to be. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.